So if I understood this correctly, these planes were flown here from the United States because they're trying to sell these planes to Finland, so that these planes would also be in Finland. I think Finland uses mainly MiGs and F-16s, I think, right now. But this is an interesting plane, and in just a second I'm going to do a bit of an interview that we did with the representative here, and he'll tell you exactly about these planes. And it's all yours.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel Chris Eberth. I'm from the 3D8th Operations Group at Hill Air Force Base. Here in Turku, Finland, at the air show with an F-35A. We've got two F-35As here. Just showing them to the local folks here, getting a lot of great questions about the F-35. Happy to be here. Really like the area. Never thought I'd have a chance to come to Finland. F-35, I've been flying it about 2 years. I think it's a fantastic airplane. I came from the F-16, and to me it's just a fundamental difference between the F-16 and the F-35. So it flies very similarly, but once you're in the air and starting to use the electronics and the systems, it's just so much better. All the information is fused onto one screen. The whole battle space picture I can just see with a glance, whereas in the F-16 I had to do a lot of work to try to figure out what's going on. This plane just fuses it all together and shows me exactly what's going on. That combined with the stealth just makes it a much more capable, survivable airplane than what I'm used to and what I flew before in the F-16.
Nice. Are these stationed at a certain base in the U.S. more than another base?
We're from Hill Air Force Base in Utah. There's several bases that fly the F-35 in America right now.
Okay. All right. And where are you from? What state?
I'm from Washington State.
Washington State.
Yes.
All right. Very nice meeting you today,
nice to meet
and
you.
Thanks for answering the questions.
Thanks. Enjoy the air show.
Bye-bye. So we're now in the Lockheed Martin area, and it looks like they have some simulators here. And you can try to crash your own plane. I mean, fly your own plane. So you can get a little bit closer here and see what's going on with the simulation. Here we have another simulation called cockpit area for this one. So that you can, looks like it'd be a little bit of fun to do. Full cockpit simulator. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Scott Davis. I'm with Lockheed Martin. We're at the Turku Airshow. We're very fortunate that the U.S. Air Force flew two F-35s into the Turku Airshow. This is the first time the F-35 has been in Finland. We waited a long time to have the F-35 at an air show. We finally succeeded in doing that. But one of the things that we want to show Finland is how different the F-35 is from all the other fighters out there. I personally spent 30 years in the U.S. Air Force before joining Lockheed Martin. I flew a variety of different fighters in the U.S. Air Force. One of them, the last fighter I flew, was the F-22. The F-22 is what we call a fifth generation fighter. And the way that numbering sort of works is since the end of World War II, as jet fighters were developed, the first jet fighters after World War II were the first generation of airplanes, and so on. So now we're on the fifth generation. There are two operational fifth generation fighters in the world, the F-22 that I mentioned, and then the F-35, which we've now delivered 400 plus of them operationally. There are quite a few other fifth generation fighters that are being developed in other parts of the world though. So China has two fifth generation fighters that they are developing. Russia has one. And now we have some consortiums in Europe, one led by the French, one led by the British, that are also working on fifth generation fighters. So I want to talk maybe a little bit about what makes a fifth generation fighter a fifth generation fighter. So I mentioned I had a lot of time flying airplanes in the Air Force. I did fly the F-22, but before that I flew the F-16, the F-18, which Finland is flying right now, and did I say F-16, F-18, and F-15? So those are the three that I flew. Those are all fourth generation fighters, and at the time they're very capable. But the thing that distinguishes a fifth generation fighter from the fourth generation fighters is, first of all, what we call stealth or low observability, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but also that the way that the airplane in 5th generation fighters manages the sensors automatically for the pilot. It's called sensor fusion, and it basically is able to turn the pilot from a sensor operator into a tactician instead, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So first, about the low observability. The airplane is not quote-unquote literally invisible, obviously not to the naked eye, but also what low observability means is there are times that you may be able to detect the 5th generation fighter, but there's a big difference between detecting something and being able to track and shoot it. And that's what the 5th generation fighter gives you, is because the way it's designed and shaped and coded, adversary radar systems cannot track and shoot the F-35. The F-22 was built with the same principles in mind. I went out on many a mission flying the F-22 against 4th generation fighters like the F-15 that I've flown previously, and they literally cannot ever find you. They're dead before they get to the visual arena every time. So that's a great capability for a nation's Air Force to have, especially nations like Finland that are perhaps, we would just say, in a rough neighborhood. I want to talk a little bit about the sensor integration as well. So the F-35, it's a low observable airplane, so all the sensors are built into the skin of the airplane or behind windows that are more or less flush with the skin. They're all networked together, not just on the airplane, but with other airplanes that fly with the F-35 in a data link. The information is collected automatically. I remember when I was flying the F-15, I would have to run the radar with one hand, look at the radar warning receiver with the other hand, look at the data link that's coming in here, look at another display for navigation. Sorry, I'm not getting all this on your camera, but it was very, very labor intensive. So when I said, you're a sensor operator in one of these airplanes, you're really, really busy working. In the F-35, in pre-mission planning, you tell the airplane, hey, here are the threats I expect to face today, here are their characteristics, and the sensors on the airplane now take care of everything, finding air threats, ground threats. And so now you are able to make some intelligent decisions about, okay, I'm protecting, let's say, this piece of ground right here. Maybe there's an Army, friendly Army unit you're protecting. I have some enemy airplanes coming from over here. I have some coming from over here. I have an enemy surface-to-air missile over here. First of all, none of them can see me, but now I can make some intelligent decisions about which of those might be the biggest threat to my ground forces, and I can go ahead and attack them.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
That's what the F-35 brings.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.